All right, guys, so great news today. The big, beautiful bill passed, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that does for America. I think it's going to bring lots of prosperity, improved economy, and put some money back in regular people's pockets. But that's not what I wanted to focus on today. I ran across this video, and I'm not going to edit this or cut it or anything. I just want to watch this video with you guys. It's Nick Shirley, and he's on the street of New York asking voters what they think about Mamdani or other candidates in the race. And this guy's really great. If you've never seen him before, I would ask you to go check out his channel because he does some great interviews, and I just really like him. So let's just move right on into it. See if you can tell when these people, maybe I'll pause it for a second, but when these people, when he walks up to these people, maybe I'll pause it for a second and ask you to think and type in the comments what do you think, if you think these folks are voting for Mamdani or someone else. But anyways, let's move to it.
Zorhan Mamdani, he's a self-proclaimed Democrat socialist. Some people are calling him a communist. Do you think communism would work well here inside of the largest city of America?
We're going to go full communist. This is not going to work out well.
There's enough of these old white men. It's time for a change.
Government grocery store.
Let's skip on to the start of the. Let's get to the start of the video here. All right, I think that's.
Just hear about who they're going to be voting for. Let's hit the streets. Here we go. Who would you like to see win the mayor race here in New York?
What do you guys think? What do you think he's going to say? Let me know in the comments.
Zorhan Mamdani.
And why so?
Because he represents working people and is offering policies that counter the establishment and that resist the influence of billionaires over this city. And yeah, he's the working people's candidate.
He doesn't realize how far New York City will fall if the billionaires pull out. That's apparent.
What's your favorite policy of Zorhan?
Taxing billionaires into non-existence.
What do you think about this guy potentially becoming the next mayor of New York City?
Oh, hell no. No, I don't like that guy, man.
And what do you think will happen if this guy wins?
I have no fucking idea, but I was here when Dinkins was the mayor, so I know bad times. I was complaining about Adams, but I would take him 4 more years than that guy.
Who would you like to see become the next?
I think Adams is their best choice. I really do. I know he comes with his own set of problems, but out of the options available, there's the Republican candidate, and I haven't paid much attention to him because I just don't think he stands a chance in New York City, and I doubt he'll win, but we'll see what happens. But out of the Democrats, though, Eric Adams is running as an independent. I think he's the best option. I kind of hope Cuomo pulls out so that he has a greater chance.
Mayor here in New York City?
Zorhan Mamdani, of course.
Why so?
I really like what he says about the rent freezes are a big one for me. City-owned grocery stores are also a huge factor for me. I don't use the buses that often, but that's pretty cool for the bus takers of New York.
How do you feel that this guy could potentially be the next mayor of New York City?
Dude, we're doomed if he's mayor. I mean, we're going to go full communist. This is not going to work out well. And I've resisted leaving New York for many reasons over the years, but I think this is going to be the final nail in the coffin, and I won't be able to survive in the city with him. No way.
If this guy wins, you're leaving.
I'm going to have to. I mean, my business will be destroyed.
What worries you most about him being elected?
I'm worried about there being complete, total chaos and our mayor actually promoting chaos. Promoting and allowing all the protesters, all the peaceful protesters to do their thing, and it's going to be really scary.
And this guy right now who's running for mayor, he is one of the fellow protesters himself.
Right. It's scary. I mean, seeing him get in the faces of the police that are supposed to protect him. I saw that one video where he's in the face of, I think it was state troopers, which, they're here to protect the governor and mayor sometimes, and I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, he wants to get rid of the police and have social workers protect us. How's that going to work?
And who are you going to be voting for?
Sliwa, definitely. He's the only choice, in my opinion.
Would you guys want to vote for a self-proclaimed...
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Are they going to vote for Mamdani? Do they think he has some good plans for New York City? Let me know in the comments what you think about these two ladies.
Democrat socialists here in New York City.
No.
What do you guys think about the ideas of defunding the police and a $30 minimum wage?
I think that's nuts. That would be so hard to maintain.
Yeah,
that would be ridiculous to maintain. I don't like the whole defund the police things. I think there's, if anything, fund them more, get training better when you defund them. Where does that do?
Government grocery stores. Good idea or bad idea?
I don't. Where's that money coming from? Taxes?
Yeah,
Where's the money coming from? I think that's insane.
Who do you want to be the
Do you see how some of these people have thought out reasons for why they are not voting for Mamdani or who they're voting for? Yet there are other people on here who seem to just want to go with whatever the gimmick that Mamdani is putting out. I find that fascinating because it's clear that we have one group of voters who, I mean, I'm certain there's multiple groups of people. Everyone is different and everyone has different reasons, but we have some people who have thought out the reasons and how their vote is going to affect them in the future. And then we have some people who are just excited by the glitter and the glam and the empty promises. Really, that's what it is.
next mayor of New York?
I can't. Zohar.
Zorhan?
Yeah.
Mamdani, why
I already voted for him. So in the primary, yeah.
And what makes you want him to be the next mayor?
I think we need to switch up. I want someone young, ready to go, really changing and focusing on the younger generation and just really making the city, giving it something new. Como, we need something fresh, and we got to get him out.
Right here we have some
You hear that, right? So something new and fresh and whatever else that guy said. That's what's important in elections. That's what's important in your candidates. Always keep that in mind when you head to the voting booth.
Democrat for mayor Zorhan signs outside here in the East Village. Would you like to have a Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City?
Democratic as long as they're like for the people, I guess. Yeah, like as long as they're fighting for people's rights.
Do you like the idea of socialism?
Depends on the person.
For instance, a lot of people have been fleeing a lot of countries that are kind of like socialist governments or communist governments. Trump's been calling him a communist.
Right.
And countries like...
Did you see the devil come out? You see the devil come out in her... That was instantly.
Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, those countries are very communist countries. A lot of them came here these past 4 years to leave that. So do you think it'd be a good idea to bring it here, communism, and see how it goes?
As long as we're like allowing people to get to safety here, like absolutely, yeah, if that's what that means.
Okay, so just let communism happen here in New York City?
If it's, I don't know, it just depends on the person and how they're using their...
This person has no idea what she's talking about. She doesn't know what communism is. She doesn't know what democracy is. She doesn't have any idea. If you ask me, I think we should have a bar for voting. We really should have some sort of a competency quiz before you can cast a vote.
Power.
And who do you support for mayor here in New York City?
Not that guy Zoltani, whatever his name is. I used to like the governor Cuomo. I don't know about him right now to be a mayor. You know, one of the New York millionaires came out and he said that he would sponsor any like free runner, someone who's like from outside, you know, and maybe that would be a good option.
Really? So now millionaires are coming together saying we got to find somebody we can fund to make sure that this Zorhan Mamdani guy doesn't win.
If he wins, a lot of business will go.
Jan, you've been on the channel a few times now, and now that the mayor might be potentially...
This guy has put the most thought into and is maybe one of the most informed and I don't want to say maybe educated, but at least has a grasp on the consequences of what the election will bring.
Zorhan Mamdani, will you vote for him?
I can't imagine anyone I would vote for
after him, I think I would vote for, that truck over there, over him. No, put mildly, I will not be voting for him. My hope is that many other people will not be. The only thing I can really say is I am concerned. From what I've heard, only about 5% of New Yorkers voted for him. So in the primaries tend to be low turnout elections, so fringe candidates do better because they have a lot of energy, and then the regular voting mass just doesn't. The hope is that a lot of different people coalesce behind Eric Adams, because this is unacceptable. It's one thing to have Los Angeles or Chicago have some fringe, DEI mayor, but it is another to have an Islamist communist who's 32 and whose mom was a Bollywood millionaire director who has never worked a day in his life and is a failed rapper try to run New York City. New York City is not a city that we can sacrifice to Islamism or to communism. There's too much here, too much business, too much real estate. I don't know if it works the same way. I don't think people can just look past New York the same way and let it go.
And why do you think it'd be a bad thing to have an Islamist as a mayor here in New York City?
You want to look at an example of a Western city that's had a effectively Pakistani Muslim mayor. You look at London, right? And London has become unlivable, high crime, gangs, extreme prices. Only the very rich and very poor can afford to live there. That's effectively what would happen here.
Another one of Mamdani's policies is to defund the police and bring in a new group of police that would just be outreach and be helping people here on the streets. What do you think would happen to New York City if Mamdani does go through with another one of his policies to defund the police?
Portland, Oregon is what will happen, except with tremendously more crime. It's a much larger city. Pharmacies will close. Many stores will close. The same liberal white women that voted for him will be targets of both robberies and assaults on a constant basis. And then, only then will people realize that some of these changes are very hard to undo. Very hard.
And remember this guy because we'll be coming back to him later in this video.
You as a Jew, how do you feel about potentially having the first Muslim mayor here in New York City?
It's not about the Muslim mayor, it's about what his policies are.
Yeah, what do you think about his policies and him not...
Very bad.
And what do you think about him not declining or saying no to the globalizing the Antifada?
That's very bad. Even the worst thing that can even be said.
And who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Cuomo.
And before we go talk to more people here in the streets of New York City, I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of this video, Opus.
I'll skip past this because here we go. We'll get back to it.
You as a Jew, how do you feel about potentially having the first Muslim mayor here in New York City?
Whatever, if it's a good mayor, it's a good mayor.
Should people not look at the religion or race for the...
Never. You go to a doctor, do you look if it's a Jewish doctor or a Christian or Muslim? Do you look?
No, I do not.
That's it. You just answer.
So why do you think in the news and stuff they're making it out to be a big thing that he's a Muslim? Or...
It's not because he's a Muslim, because he was against, he never said nothing against Hamas, that's why. Nothing to do with...
Yeah, he supports terrorist organization. He's fully on board with that. So that should bring up red flags for everybody, right?
He's a Muslim or Jew or is a Christian.
So do you think Jews should be worried about him winning?
Yes, I think so.
Will you be voting for Adams if he runs again?
Whoever is the best one. I don't care who is the guy. As long as it's good for my safety and the safety of my city, that's it. It's good for business, good for everything. I'm not looking for chaos.
Do you think government around grocery stores is a good idea?
No.
What about defunding the police?
Horrible idea.
What do you think will happen in New York City if they do defund the police?
I think it will go... I mean, it's already a dangerous city. I think it will get tremendously worse. I think it's horrible for our kids. I think it's horrible for our elderly. I think it's just a horrible idea. I don't know why we would ever defund the place.
And would you vote for Zorhan Mamdani?
Oh, definitely not. Oh, New York would be in bad shape if Mamdani got elected, for sure. I'm an immigrant, so I came here from nothing and I was able to build a future, to give a better future for my kids. I come from a country that is pretty much social. You know, Italy is a pretty social country. It doesn't work here, you know. This is a capitalist country and Mamdani is trying to make, not even socialism, is trying to make a communism country. I mean, like, just go back where you were, you know.
What do you think about government around grocery stores? Would that be a good idea?
Not at all. Not at all. That is totally wrong. I mean, it will not make any sense in a country like United States. I mean, I think it's wrong anywhere in the world, but United States is like, this country is capitalism because you can come here and become somebody. You can live a simple life and just live long, get your job and work for a good company, or you can rise the ladder and become somebody, you know what I mean, and hopefully give more opportunity for your kids. I guess that's what his parents did for him, right? So they moved from a different country to come to United States. They built a good wealth so he could be educated, and he's trying to basically eliminate what the parents had the opportunity to do in this country, which doesn't seem fair to me.
Who will you be voting for?
How would government-run grocery stores even work at all? They want to do it to undercut. Now, I don't know if you've ever had any type of business or not, but I had a landscaping business for a little while, a small landscaping business, nothing major, but I did a little bit of business just around my local area, and I would get undercut by kids who could mow lawns for almost nothing, right? That's not sustainable for a business who carries, the insurance and has taxes and all of the things, the expenses that go along with a business to try to compete with someone who can undercut you so far. So then what happens to the grocery stores that can't compete with a government-run grocery chain? Well, ultimately and eventually they go out of business and they leave. And then what happens? Well, the government can't keep up with the supply. They can't keep up with the supply to the community, and then they have shortages, and then the community collapses, and then you have people out in the streets like we see in many of these big cities complaining and screaming at the businesses for having left the city, and it's not their fault. You can't run a business and take losses constantly, and that's the situation that I think that government-run grocery stores would cause, and then, like I said, then that's going to bring short. It's just a bad idea.
For the election for the mayor here in New York City.
Zorhan Mamdani.
And why do you want to vote for Zorhan Mamdani?
I think that his beliefs and what he wants to do for the city is I resonate with most of them, and if not all of them.
What's your favorite one?
Just his he talked about making public transit and everything free, not free, but maybe more accessible, and faster buses, faster public transit, and yeah.
And where do you think he'll get that extra money from?
Maybe by, I think I saw something where he said he was taxing the upper class, maybe something like that. I'm not really educated in most of these things, but yeah.
And right now he says he wants to tax every person that makes more than $1 million here an extra 2%. Are you in support of that?
I think so, yeah.
And he also said he doesn't think billionaires should exist. Do you think billionaires should exist?
I mean, I don't know.
Should Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, should they exist? Should they be able to have billions of dollars?
I think in our world, the wrong type of people have the power and too much power and money, and so take that as you will.
Do you think it's wrong for someone to start a business and then become a billionaire?
No.
Who will you guys vote?
That's fascinating. So everyone that he mentioned started a business and then became a billionaire. But she thinks the wrong people have the billions. I don't know. I think she was just low information. I think she seemed like she probably just says the things that she's heard her friends or other people talking about. She doesn't really have much of her own well thought out opinion at all. So let's listen to these two gentlemen.
Vote for mayor here in New York.
Oh, I voted for Mamdani.
And what makes you want to vote for Mamdani?
Well, if he wasn't running, I would have voted for Cuomo. But when Mamdani entered the race, it's there's enough of these old white men. It's time for a change. That's why.
What makes you excited about potentially having the first Muslim mayor here in New York City?
Why not? They had it in London. So, why not?
Would you like New York City to become the next London?
No, I'd like it to stay in New York City. But one thing about Mamdani, not since JFK, and I can say this, have I ever heard a politician speak that felt so honest as he did.
Honest. Now, have you heard Mamdani? Have you heard this guy talk? Do you think he seems honest? I don't. I don't. I think he seems the opposite of honest. And I like to kind of pride myself on being a good judge of character, but he's a bullshitter.
And one of his goals is to make this city pretty much Trump-proof by making enough money through other streams of revenue, like extra taxes on the rich, to not need money from the federal government.
Yeah, I'm up with that. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Would you like to see New York City get Trump-proofed?
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. There's no ICE agents, are there?
Something that's interesting about Mamdani is he's 33 years old.
Yeah.
He was born in Uganda, and now he's been here in the United States since he was 7 years old.
Yeah.
Do you think people should be able to run for office if they are not born here in the United States?
Something like mayor, okay, yes. He's an assemblyman right now. Like president, that's a whole different story. But he's been elected as an assemblyman. He's now been elected as a primary candidate for mayor in the
And that should scare the hell out of him, quite honestly. A communist is moving up the ladder that far. I don't think Mamdani will win in the end. I really don't.
Democratic Party, and a lot of people voted for him and didn't vote for others. So, it's going to be kind of tough to deport him.
Who would you like to see become the next mayor here in New York City?
I think Cuomo might be the more practical choice, but I do find that Zadami, after listening to other people's comments, I would let him go with it, have a go at it. Can't do any worse, I think, and I think he's a young guy with my.
Well, they say you can vote yourself into communism, but you have to shoot your way out, right? So he just wants to give him a go. We'll see what happens. Well, once you're locked in it, then you're stuck there.
Have some interesting ideas that the old timers might just fall into place with old time views.
Zorhan Mamdani, he's a self-proclaimed Democrat socialist. Some people are calling him a communist. Do you think communism would work well here inside of the largest city of America?
I don't think communism really even exists. If you look at Russia, China, they're truly not communists. They're just as capitalized and they're controlling and they're not even as squared as what you would.
China reaps the benefit of capitalization for the state, but you can rest assured that the people are living under communism.
We'd expect communism to be by definition, so it doesn't really exist.
And some of his policies are such as government-run grocery stores or a $30 minimum wage, or they're going to freeze the rent. What will happen?
This is the last part. He comes back to this guy, which I think he had actually interviewed him before the previous time that he showed it. But this guy's pretty good. I like him.
In New York City, if this guy does win.
So going through each of those. So government is in no position to ever dictate these types of things. And every time it does and puts its heavy hand on the economy, it always makes it so much worse. I'm from Moscow originally. I would know. We ran from there once. I'd like to not do it again. But if you create government subsidized stores, you will destroy regular stores while jacking up prices of this stuff anyway. The amount of taxes you're going to have to increase to do this, he's published this budget is going to triple what it presently is. I believe from something like 20 billion, was it 20 to 60 billion, or 2 billion to 6 billion? I don't remember what it is. It's tripled. So, but then as people start to leave, you're looking at taxing the people that stay even more, because the taxes go up and they have to raise them more and more and more because the budget keeps falling short. As far as real estate, people are going to just stop developing. They're going to start warehousing apartments. At some point, the government is going to be stuck owning some of these tenements, which of course is going to be more tax obligations, and the city is going to become Detroit. We know what happens. Detroit fell apart in a generation. Do we want New York to be another Detroit? What happens if the stock exchange leaves? What happens if...
I don't know if it fell apart in a generation. I'm over 50, and Detroit's been kind of no place that I'd want to go stay throughout my entire life. So I don't know about a generation, maybe a couple generations. I really don't know about Detroit, but certainly it's the example he's given is pretty good.
If all the big law firms leave, because people will want to leave.
You think New York City will fall if this guy is elected mayor?
Oh, there's no question. It's already barely surviving. In the last 12 years, things have not been going well. All the various state bills, COVID, the city's not the same. Everything's very expensive. It's really only for the very rich and very poor. Young people move here, live like 4 to an apartment, paying their entire salary in rent and groceries. If you continue to move in that direction and take an even sharper leftist turn, plus you start importing various Islamist ideologies, the city simply can't survive. No one wants to stay here, and there's no money to be made anymore.
And one of Mamdani's policies, because he wants to essentially make New York City Trump-proof by raising enough money through other forms to not have to receive federal funding. And one of the ways he wants to do it is by taxing the rich, that make over $1 million a year, an extra 2%. What will happen to that group of people that are making $1 million? Will they leave New York City, or do you think they're going to stay?
So right now we're talking about the border and building a border wall. The Soviet Union also had a curtain or a wall, except it kept people in. Because the thing about communism is it's so much fun you can't leave. And it only works when people who produce, which is the minority, can't leave. What this little moron does not understand is that this is America. People can just leave New York. He's gambling that they cannot move with their job, or they can't move with their family. He's sorely mistaken. And the other thing he has to remember is that he is the mayor, he's not the governor, meaning that people don't need to leave the state to avoid him. They can just leave the city. And the more he tries to trump...
That's something that everyone in New York State should consider. I know if you live in New York State, you already know this, but my wife's family lives in upstate New York, and much of the cost and expenses that they incur are a result of the city. So New York City, the taxes and the cost of living that it incurs kind of filters out throughout the rest of the state. So it wouldn't just hurt New York City. The entire state will also suffer. So even people want to move out of the city, they may see a little bit of relief, but honestly, if this guy destroys New York as badly as I think he will, anyone living there would probably have to leave the state to break away from it.
Proof it by charging his people more. The more those people will leave, the more monetary shortages he has, the more he must raise taxes, and the cycle will continue. He's more than welcome to try. We'll see what happens. There is some discussion of whether or not he can be denaturalized, because when you sign to become a citizen, I think there's an oath you take that you're not a member of any terrorist or communist organization. He is arguably members of both. Yeah. So the question is, would the Trump administration be willing to look at him? Because a part of me, I'm kind of thinking out loud here. I don't know, is Donald Trump, who grew up in the city and who became who he is in this city, really willing to let this city go? It's one thing to let Chicago get worse or LA burn, but it's another thing to let New York become a communist Islamic utopia, which is to say dystopia. I wonder if that's going to happen.
And any last warning you'd give to your fellow New Yorkers about who they should vote for, or who they should consider voting for, or why they could potentially consider not voting for Mamdani?
A pound of prevention is worth a ton of cure. You will not be able to undo what this man does to the city. And I use the word man loosely. You cannot, it's very hard to undo migration. It is very hard to undo entitlements. It is very hard to undo expanded budgets. As you see now with the big, beautiful bill, it's very hard to both cut spending and also cut the deficit and also cut taxes. These are one-way roads. So if you elect this savage now, it will not get better. You will not be able to take your city back. And in 4 years, he will make this place toxic and radiated. It will not be livable. So whatever, by hook or by crook, by any means necessary, he cannot and should not become mayor of the city.
And if you enjoyed this video, please
I agree. I encourage you, if you do live in New York and you have a vote there, don't vote for that guy. You will live to regret it. I'm 100% certain of that. I think it's incredibly disturbing that a clear communist, and I don't think I'm using the word loosely or with hyperbole, as often happens with Democrat candidates. He appears to be a straight up communist, and it's disturbing that someone like that is rising to a point of power in the United States that is so high as a New York mayor. But anyways, that's all I have for you. I just wanted to walk through that video with you and see what you guys had to think. Let me know in the comments for each interview how did you think they were going to choose for Mamdani or a more conservative option. So thanks for tuning in, and if you got anything out of this, if you enjoyed it, leave a like, and please consider subscribing. I will talk to you later. Thanks.